This is a review on the variety Little Gem. I'm in Southern California, so it's March 20th right now. I picked this March 16th. These fruits set, from what I could tell, last last summer around August. So it kind of overwintered, and then now it's the following year, and they're finally ripe. It was also, we had a lot of late blooms last year due to a very kind of prolonged winter we had. Like the weather didn't really even get hot until, like, I would say July. So this is Little Gem, and this is grown in Southern California. It's really has a really nice red blush. Look at this. It's pretty amazing how red it is. Almost reminds me of those Owen and those Miyakaze Japanese mango, based on how red this is right now. And I'm not sure if this is a California thing. I mean, most of the fruits I see on this online, it's more like just a yellow kind of mango with maybe a tiny bit of red blush. This kind of redness, I'm not sure if it's due to a California thing. Lots of like my mangoes that are fruiting in like fall and winter. I don't know if it's due to the low sun or the kind of like the winter sun, but they tend to get a lot of very intense red blushing on it. My Nam Dak Mai does the same thing too, and it only seems to occur with lots of fruits that's developing through fall and winter. The summer fruits don't seem to do that. Like if I have a Nam Dak Mai that ripen in summer, it doesn't really, never really has any kind of blush. But the fruits that kind of hang through fall and winter, they usually develop this really nice red blush to it. So not sure if it was a kind of based on locality or anything, but at least mine's are growing here right in here now. It's really beautiful. This is probably you know, one of the most beautiful mangoes I've seen or had. I've grown the two best looking mangoes I've grown has been, I would say, these Little Gems and Maha Chanuk. So it's really nice to see how amazing looking it is right now. So this is Little Gem. You can see kind of a bit of yellow on both of these sides right here, right? But besides these kind of spots right there, everything else that had direct sunlight is almost this dark kind of red apple, blush red to it. Okay, so this was picked about 3-4 days ago. So far, I mean, I'm not smelling anything at all. Well, not at all. There's just hints of classic mango and tiny hints of the terpenes. From my understanding, this is a Julie seedling. Doesn't. Well, I'm not smelling anything like Hatter Graham, which is kind of related, that had a much stronger smell. Some overripe cherries also has some much stronger smell, but this is pretty much nothing at all. It's very tiny, and it has, I hate to say this, but both of these fruits has this kind of very tiny, it's nothing that's going to make you gag, but there's very tiny hints of like what I would call sewer gas. So when I picked this one, it was like more like a nice kind of fell right off. I kind of just moved it slightly and just came off. So it was probably going to drop in a day or so, or even that day. And this one I had to kind of break it off a little bit. So this one had a hint of that smell right away on that day. Like at this tiny bit of like sewer gas. This one didn't, but now it is beginning to, which kind of worries me a bit. So that's why I'm kind of gonna cut this open and see how it is. The Little Gem has a very thick skin, so it makes it kind of hard for me to tell, but I'm able to kind kind of push this in, so I think it's ready. And this tiny hints of sewer gas is kind of a bit bizarre to me. I've only smelled something similar to that on a very overripe Alfonso that didn't really ripen properly, and I had that kind of smell. Usually, most mangoes, at least the commercial ones I had in the store, when they do go overripe, it usually kind of has a more like a fermented tropical fruit mango smell to it. You know, not this kind of hint of sewer gas, which I hope this doesn't turn you guys off on it. This little gem seems to be really quite productive fruit, and it seems to be growing pretty well for me so far. But yes, the only times I ever had that kind of smell was on it, and it was way stronger. It was on a very much over ripened Alfonso mango. So Little Gem is a, so I was saying Little Gem is a Julie seedling, and Julie is known to kind of not like, I guess, not let it, you can't let it ripen on the tree, or if it drops you kind of eat it that day. So, and if not, I guess it gets overripe really quickly, and lots of kind of off lots of off tasting components if you do let it get overripe. So maybe that's kind of something Little Gem kind of picked up from its parent. I don't know. I'm hoping whatever it is I'm smelling on this fruit, it's not in there when I cut into the flesh and actually eat it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna do it on this one just because this one, the shoulder seems to be giving a bit better. You know, this one was actually the one I picked that I thought was going to ripen after this, but the tip, the end of the fruit kind of gives, and the shoulder kind of gives. This one, the shoulder is still very kind of firm. So we'll see. It's been 3-4 days. I'm going to go ahead and try this fruit first. That doesn't work out, I'll go back and try this fruit. Okay, here we go. Little Gem. It slices really nicely. Oh, look at this. Not really sure what this is, but I had a few fruits that's done that. It might be due to all the rain that we had. And I'm smelling it right now. None of that kind of what I mentioned sewer gas smell. This kind of smell is more like a bit more like some of the overripe cherries and graham I had. So yeah, look at that. I got gaps. A lot of these air pockets. Not really sure what that is, but I did get that on some of my fruits this year. So just to kind of see how the fruit is. Really nice coloring. Okay, here we go. I mean, it seemed to be nicely properly ripened, so that's good. Okay, all right, cheers. So very good fruit, very sweet. Kind of reminds me of the Graham I had, but I thought the Graham was actually sweeter, a bit more intense sweeter. So this sweetness on this kind of is not as sweet as a Graham, but a little bit more complex, I guess. I mean, I'm tasting, you know, the Indian side of it, kind of components that kind of reminds me of Kesar. Even some of the components that reminds me of the ST Maui I had. The skin, I thought the skin was going to be a lot more thicker just because of kind of trying to press on it, and the Little Gem does have a thick skin, but definitely not as thick as Ambrosia. Ambrosia is probably the thickest skin mango so far I had. So nothing wrong with the skin. There's no off flavors in the skin. It is edible. Yeah, reminds me a bit of the Graham I had, just not as sweet, and a bit more complex flavor to it. Some, you know, kind of hints of those other tropical fruits that you can't really always put your kind of put a taste to it, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the ST Maui in terms of the finish and stuff it has on it. This was the kind of air gap that was there. Oh wow, very good Indian flavored mango. This is really great. Just like I mentioned, not as sweet as Graham, but that could be due to just because this is almost pretty much a winter fruit, I guess, because it went through the ripening process through all the rains, storms we had, and all cooler weather. So that might have affected the sweetness of it. But I don't have any issues with that. You know, I have no issues with mangoes that aren't too intensely sweet. You know, I like it if it's not too intensely sweet. That is a bit more complex, and this has that. You know, it has that kind of Indian mix of terpenes, and you kind of taste like those other tropical fruits. You know, hints of what I would probably think of as guava or papaya, and enough sub-acidness to kind of balance it out. You know? Nice red skin. It's a really kind of beautiful looking fruit. So it seems to have a lot of things I desire in a mango, like in terms of the flavor, like the Indian style, Indian component flavors. And if you like that, along with like a really kind of beautiful looking red blush mango, this is it. As long as I think the fruit gets exposed to sun, it develops a really nice red blush. That last piece was very ripe, and it kind of reminded me of Kesar. Definitely reminded me of a Kesar right there. So well, that's my review of Little Gem. Go gorgeous looking fruit. Really great Indian flavors to it. The sweetness on this, I would say, is it's pretty sweet, but it's not intensely sweet. So here we go. This is a review of Little Gem, grown in Southern California. It is March 20th right now. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in.